everyone and welcome to the August goals. I'm doing a very similar intro to the July goals because I got to September and realised I didn't record the August goals intro. I don't know why. They don't exist. So here we are in September talking about August. So as I did with July, there are a couple of goals that will be carried over to September. There's going to be like a bumper video. But I'm going to tell you all of them, to be honest, and then tell you which ones you're going to see and which ones you're not going to see. So August, the first goal was to do the Six Peaks of Derbyshire. This was something for charity for Cynthia Spencer, which is a hospice here where I live. I was about to dox myself. And it was to do the Six Peaks of Derbyshire. I'll let you see what happened. I'm going to do a little sit down section of this video to let you know what happened with some footage. It's a wild ride. For gaming, it was to get Weaver to level 100 on Final Fantasy XIV. I'm still trying to push for this goal at the end of the year where I have everything at level 100. Yeah. For my soul, I have like a goal that I put soul. To buy the Stardew Cookbook and make one thing from it. This is going to be moved to September, potentially October, because I believe it's a birthday present. I haven't seen the person, so I can't really buy it for myself. So more on that one later on. And that was it. It was just the 3 goals. I've put down to focus on launching a glow up, but I'd already put that in the July goals for September, so that one will move. So this will be just the 6 peaks and getting Weaver to level 100, hopefully, and then the other one potentially September, October. I'll let you know if I did in fact get the Stardew Cookbook for my birthday and when I'm going to cook the meal. Short goal month. The idea was to catch up, and this should allow us to catch up. September will be a huge video, but yeah, let's see how we get on. So, let's talk about the 6 peaks goal. So the idea was to go to Derbyshire and to do 6 peaks in one day. They're not mountains, they're just like little peaks. Well, what I thought was little peaks of hills and stuff. And you have a guide and you go around, and it's all very pretty. It started in a place called Buttermere, and from the get-go, it was cursed. I'm not gonna lie to you. Basically what happened was we'd just come out of a heat wave. The heat was still hitting. It was 25 degrees with no cloud cover. So it was already when we started at like 8 a.m, like seriously fucking hot. And the first peak was 2 hours up a steep incline. And I said, oh, this is the worst part, just getting up there. And then the rest of them, they're tough, but not as tough as this. Climbing up that first incline, up a rocky bit where the sun's beating down on you with a massive like fucking rucksack that I had on. Not fun. I was dehydrated, but we were made aware very early on that we were falling behind. And I felt a bit of weight responsibility because the other 2 boys were very quick and I'm quite short, and I like to kind of work out where I'm stepping. Anxiety thing probably, or just being short thing, I don't know. So we were like, okay, we'll just cut out a couple of the peaks, that's fine. Disaster struck about half an hour after. I stepped on a slippy rock, my foot slipped under another rock, got caught, I had to pull it out, felt it hurt, and I was like already aware that we were behind. So I was like, oh shit, can't say anything, need to keep ploughing on because it's for charity. The guide was like, right, I've sent the other 2 off. Are you alright? I was like, yeah, I'm good. Managed to suppress the pain for a little bit, but I was aware my foot was not right. Walked a little bit further and I was like, I gotta stop. And she was like, what's wrong? I was like, my left foot. It really hurts. Like, it really fucking hurts. She was like, alright, we'll stop here. Because I hadn't really eaten anything at this point. I had like a couple of breakfast biscuits. I'd not really drank anything. Heat wave. I thought I had heat stroke because regardless of my foot, I was sweating. I felt sick. So I thought, oh shit, I've got heat stroke. Wasn't even thinking about my foot. So she kind of treated me for the heat stroke. She gave me water. She made me sit down. I'm sitting in the shade. She's like, "You've gone quite pale." I was like, "Yeah, I'm in a bit of pain." Pointed to my foot. Took my shoe off. My left foot was double the size of my right foot. It was bad. She was poking around on my foot, and I was in quite a bit of pain at one very specific point on the inside of my foot. It's weird because my ankle was swollen, but on the other side, she was like, "No," because the pain was there, the swelling was there. She's like, "Something's not right." She kept looking at my foot, and she was convinced like the tiny bone was broken on the inside of my foot, or at least very badly fractured. And I was like, okay, fucking brilliant. So they called up Mountain Rescue because the idea was I would try and walk down. The boys had gone off to go do the first peak. I was like, just go, just fucking go. Like, honestly, we've got to do at least one peak. Mountain Rescue comes. It's literally just a guy sprinting up. Really hot day, bless him. Felt really sorry for him. The sun is beating down at this point. There's hardly any cover where I'm sitting. They're worried I am going to get heat stroke at this point because I can't move. It was then established I cannot walk down the trail I came up because my foot was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I wasn't getting more pain. Like, I was starting to feel anxious. I had a panic attack, I guess. I could not walk down by myself. The idea was I was going to do it with assistance, or at the very worst get stretchered down. He checked my foot. He was a little bit more first aid trained. Again, he told me he thinks my foot's broken. I'm like, shit, how do we get down? Like, we'll probably stretch you down, but it's really hot, so we need to wait for people to get here, and it's really hot, so we're gonna call a helicopter. I was like, what? We're gonna call a helicopter. You need a helicopter to get down. It's the safest way for you, and it's the safest way for everyone involved on this really hot day. At this point, I feel ridiculous again. I feel like the anxiety's building again. But if my foot is broken, what do? You have to listen to the people. My foot is progressively getting more painful as it goes on. They have to splint it. So they got plastic and put it all around the foot. They sealed it with what they told me was horse tape, the tape they put on horses. And then my knee started to really fucking hurt at this point. My foot was in a lot of pain. It was immobile, but it was in a lot of pain. They gave me paracetamol, they gave me something else. And then on the helicopter, they offered me gas and air, but I didn't want the gas and air because I wanted to be aware of everything that was going on because I was separated from everyone at this point. They got me onto the helicopter. I started to shake, like proper shake, like I couldn't. And I thought, is this because I'm in a helicopter and it's quite cold in here? But they thought I was going into shock. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm just cold. But I'm like chattering, like I shouldn't be this cold. Like, it's a warm day outside. I shouldn't be this cold. Got flown to A&E. Got checked over again. Consultant comes in with a doctor. We think it's broken. Are you going to be able to get back to the Midlands? Because I'm up north. I'm up in the Peak District. I live in the Midlands. Are you going to be able to get home? I was like, yeah, I was driven here. It's fine. They got me straight into an x-ray. They were brilliant. And then I had to wait for quite a while. I had to take my clothes off. I had to be in a gown because they had to inspect my knee. Because when they took the splint off, my knee was bad. But it turned out that was just because it was in a splint. And it was just the way it was sealed. So I was quite lucky nothing had actually happened to my knee. Waited for the x-ray to come in and he went, you're very lucky. It's just a very bad sprain. Like, it's not broken. Like, because everyone was convinced this one little bone in my foot was fucked. And it wasn't. So obviously, the boys did a peek and spoke to the charity. And it was all agreed between us all and between talking to the guides that we will return next year to try and redo this challenge. Hopefully when there's A, not a heat wave, and B, my foot is chilling and not fucked. The thing is, I was in new boots as well. If I was in my old boots I did Snowdon, I would have broke my foot. I think the new boots saved my foot. But it's very embarrassing to admit. It's a very weird thing to have to ring people and text people and say, just so you know, in case you find out, I was in a helicopter. I was mountain rescued. I had an accident on the side of a mountain. And I said to them, I feel so fucking stupid for all this. And they went, it happens more often than you think. There was a guy who had to carry his dog because it's got his paw cut, and then he could no longer carry the dog and he exhausted himself. They had to rescue him with a helicopter. I was like, oh, they're like foot sprains, foot breaks, foot injuries. They happen literally every day. Don't worry about it. And I was like, but I feel ridiculous. So that's what happened with the Six Peaks Challenge. It was a beautiful day, beautiful sights. What I saw, it was a lovely day before. Got to go see all these places. But that's my cat. He's in. The door wasn't even shut, buddy. It wasn't, but that's what happened. I'll insert all the footage that I have, but that's what happened. I got mountain rescued. I'm kind of using it as that feeling of being helpless and useless and stupid as motivation to do a big lifestyle change. I've had to wait for my foot to heal, obviously, because it was badly in pain. Like, it was a pain I've not felt in a long time. Like, it really fucking hurt. To go back to the gym to eat better, because there's nothing quite like being strapped down to a board in a helicopter to make you realise everything's a bit fragile, everything's a bit delicate, and I need to do everything I can to bolster my body. And sitting in the hospital and just waiting to find out if my foot was fucked was not a nice experience. But everyone that was there that day, the people that came with me, the people that got me home, thank you. If you by chance watch this, it was not great. I get quite emotional when I think about it. But we will be going back next year. We want to try and do Ben Nevis as well. We did Snowdon this year. That was a massive achievement. But I think I'm going to use it also as a chance to try and create new content. I'm going to try to film IRL, like the practice walks, the actual walks themselves, and maybe some of the training. I don't know, but it was fucking horrible. I'll tell you that. But that's this goal kind of done. Kind of not. I tried. I failed. But I'm only human. Yeah. I'll see you in the next goal, guys. So, back to War and Peace. Now you're back from the other goals. I hope you enjoyed them. War and Peace has been regarded as one of the longest books to ever be written. One of the most esteemed books to ever be written. It's Russian literature. It's by Leo Tolstoy. It's a book that I did a history degree, so I heard about War and Peace all the time. Like, you're going to write War and Peace, don't write War and Peace, in reference to essay length. But then when I was watching Gilmore Girls, Rory Gilmore was talking a lot about reading War and Peace, and I think it kind of just stuck that I wanted to try this book. Waterstones do these really cool covers that are like this, and I've got quite a few books that match in this like cool design cover. So I bought this, I think, at the end of 2024, literally in December, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna read that bad boy, because I'd recently read Crime and Punishment by Fedor Vodotsky, think is how you say his name. And I got into that, and I really liked the themes that were coming through that. And he recommended War and Peace. They're both dead, I believe, because these books are really old. But I picked it up. So I found it difficult. I'll not lie, I found it difficult. I'm used to reading long pieces of work. I think the longest actual fiction I had read up until this point was probably Stephen King's It, because it's 2 books sandwiched together. They're about 1,000 pages each combined. That's the version I had that was kind of sandwiched together, but that was horror, and let's not lie, bit of a drunken mess. But it's alright, you know, there was a space turtle, there was a clown, there wasn't really a clown, there was peril. This Russian. I enjoyed reading Russian literature. I think it's quite honest. Of the time period that it's set in. The thing about Russian literature I've noticed is the names change quite a bit. I don't know if that's the English translation trying to keep up, but you'll have a couple of different names for the same character. Now, I don't know if that's our translators just being like, oh, I don't know, or if that's something in general of Russian literature. I found points of it hard to push through, but the chapters that I really stuck to, I really enjoyed. There's a storyline with Natasha. I think Natasha became my favourite character. She's a young lady who was getting married, then wasn't getting married, then got married. There's a storyline with her where she falls in love with a prince, then realises she's in love with someone else. Can't be that person because that person's actually married. So she takes a lot of arsenic. And then disappears, comes back, becomes an integral part of the end of the book, and then has a happy ending, so to speak. I really liked Natasha's story. I liked how they discussed courtship in this book. I didn't really enjoy... There was like 20 mini chapters on wolf hunting, and I didn't appreciate that. But for the most part, I made it through. I literally took this book everywhere with me. I took it to work. I took it to trips away. I took it to Wales with me. I freaking took it everywhere. As you can tell, it's a bit worn. But I'd recommend if anyone's debating to read War and Peace to say they read it, read it, but just know it's a slog. It's a real slog. More than I thought it would be. And if you get a translated version, that you don't speak Russian, just bear in mind the names are going to change quite a bit throughout it. I googled it, there's 40 main characters, 40. Because at points, I had to have the Wikipedia page open to figure out which character was which and where they fit in. Like, it was actually really useful. And then I found a Reddit subreddit where they were reading a chapter a week, and they would break down each chapter. So sometimes when I got lost, I would just go on there and kind of figure out what was going on here and there, because some chapters are very short. It's literally just one conversation. Some chapters are long, and then you don't see a character for like ages and ages, because there'll be like whole chapters on battles and stuff, because obviously they're fighting Napoleon in this book. And then you'll go back to like the court, and you'll be like, I can't remember who's who and who's with who. And so that really helps, the subreddit. But I made it through. I can say I read War and Peace. It's a goal ticked off. It took me the end of March to the first bit of August. So March, April, May, June, July. It took me 4 months to read, which is unusual for me. Normally I read a couple of books a month, but we did it. We read War and Peace. That goal is done.